In this video, I'm going to help all you coaches increase the motivation of your athletes and teams. I've worked with hundreds of coaches, and this is always a big challenge that coaches come to me with, in that they deal with either low motivation or inconsistent motivation amongst their athletes and teams. So today I'm going to break down 3 simple strategies that you coaches can use to elevate that motivation level so you can spend less time worrying about the motivation of your team and more time doing the coaching that you actually want to do. I also have a bonus strategy at the end of the video that you're really going to want to hear, so make sure that you watch all the way through. All right, I'm going to talk about those 3 concepts here in just a minute, but since we're talking about helping your athletes mentally perform, I have a free gift for you today that I think is really going to help. If you get over to trainwithpert.com/free guide, you're going to find 3 simple steps that any athlete or any team can incorporate into their preparation to help them better mentally perform in their next big moment. Again, that's trainwithpert.com/free guide. Now, the source of these 3 strategies comes from the most proven, the most effective model of human motivation known as self-determination theory. There's a ton of information out there on self-determination theory, but the concepts are really quite simple. And I'm going to break down for you exactly what each concept is, and most importantly, how to apply each concept to get maximum results for your athletes. All right, strategy number 1 is to foster autonomy. Now, a big misconception with autonomy is that when coaches hear give your athletes more autonomy, the coaches immediately think, let the athletes make all the decisions. To be clear, that's a terrible idea. And that's actually not a great way to use or think about how to foster autonomy with your athletes. So let's set the record straight. Autonomy is the ability to engage in behavior that's self-endorsed. So let's take you as a coach, for example. In order for you as a person to be autonomous, you need to believe that what you choose to do and the actions that you take are going to move you from the version of yourself that you are to the version of yourself that you want to be. And it doesn't necessarily matter if you choose to do those things or if somebody else suggested or told you to do those things. The exact same thing applies to the athletes that we coach. And a really easy way to foster autonomy amongst your athletes is to simply explain the why behind a drill or a technique before you have them do it, but also help them understand how doing this drill or technique is going to help them become better. So for example, maybe you make an observation that your team or that your athlete is struggling with, let's say, decision making. So you come up with a drill or an exercise that's meant to help them make better decisions. And it doesn't matter what the drill or exercise is, as long as you explain to them, this is why we're going to be doing the drill or exercise, and this is how it's going to help them. This immediately benefits me because if I'm your athlete, I now understand where I am and that I struggle with decision making. I also understand where I want to get to and why that's important. And that's helped me buy into the idea of getting better at decision making. And you've also identified a very clear path for me to go from where I am to where I want to be because you simply took the time to explain why and how. So bada bing, bada boom, I now feel more autonomy as the athlete. I'm now going to be more motivated going into this exercise or into this drill, and I'm going to get way more out of it than had you just said, all right, team, today we're doing this. If you've gotten any value at all from this first concept, hit that thumbs up button right now. All right, strategy number 2 is to create competence. So let's talk about the psychological need that every person has to being more competent. Fact is, in order to be more motivated, every single person needs to feel like they are good at what they do and that when they step into their environment, that they can be effective. I really want you to focus on that key word of being effective. Many of you coaches watching this also have jobs outside of being just a coach. So let me ask you a question. How demotivating is it when you feel ineffective in your place of work? This could be something as simple as doing a task or being in a role that you don't think is very important or that you think that the people around you don't treat as very important. If that's the case, how motivated are you going to be to continue to put a lot of effort into that role? Another example could be why many people struggle to stay consistent with their exercise. One of the biggest reasons why people don't stick to consistent workouts is because they don't know what to do. They buy their membership, they walk into the gym, and immediately they see a ton of workout equipment that they don't even know how to use or when to use it. So that individual who feels like their role isn't important isn't going to be motivated for the exact same reason that the person walking into that gym for the first time is probably going to struggle with motivation as well, because they don't feel like they can be effective in those environments, and thus they don't feel competent. So how can you as a coach increase the ability for every athlete on your team to feel more competent? Well, the easiest way is to make sure that every single member of your team has a very clearly defined role and that they understand the importance of that role to the team. To supplement this, I would create some kind of reward system that rewards your athletes for embracing that role. Now, the individuals who get a ton of playing time or they get more opportunity, their reward is already kind of built into that role. But what about the athletes that are given the same amount of effort, are embracing their role, but whose role doesn't always come with the most playing time or the most opportunities? I talked about this point in my How to Mentally Coach Athletes video. I'll put that here, but I highly recommend that you build in some sort of reward system that rewards those athletes who still put in a ton of work, are incredibly important to the development and the success of the team, but maybe they don't get all the glory from all the opportunities that many of the other athletes will. I actually had a mom that watched that video send me in a picture of her son just wearing this giant fake gold chain that said hustle on it. And I thought this was a tremendous example of a coach who found a way to reward any athlete that invested in their role, that invested in the identity of the team, that invested in the process. He found a really simple way to reward those players. And I guarantee you, those kids wanted that gold chain. If either strategy number 1 or strategy number 2 has helped you to this point in the video, hit that subscribe button right now. All right, strategy number 3 is build relatedness. Now, relatedness is the basic human need to feel connected and supported by the people that are around us. There's also another component to relatedness, in that not only do we need to feel like we're supported by the people around us, but we also need to feel like we can give support to the people that are around us, and that that support is readily accepted and valued by our peers. This is obviously why team building is such a focus for so many coaches, especially so many coaches of younger athletes. But I think sometimes we forget to build in this intent into our team building exercises. Because the intent for any team building exercise should be that you position your athletes to be in a position where they can receive support through a struggle or a challenge or some sort of adversity, but also that every single athlete can feel like they can give support to the people that are around them, and that support is readily accepted and valued. So here's a great little activity that you can do right away. Once a week, I would encourage you to take either your group of your individual sport athletes or one of your teams and pair them up with one another, and make sure that they have a different partner every single week. And their goal or their challenge is to teach the person that they're paired with something new. Now, this could be anything as long as it's something of value that's going to help that person in their sport. So it could be a specific technique that they do, or a tactical strategy that they like to employ in their game, or a mental strategy that they use to help them overcome something in a specific situation, or even a specific workout or an exercise that they like to do. It doesn't matter what this is, but their goal should be to teach the person that they're paired with something of value that's going to help them in their sport. There's actually a sneaky little benefit from this activity, and it comes from the concept known as the cone of experience, which was created by the legendary American educator Edgar Dale. In his cone of experience, he said that we learn 95% of what we teach to other people. So when you position your athletes this way, to where they have to teach something to somebody else, they're actually also strengthening their own knowledge of the concept. So again, this is a great little exercise that you can use once a week that's really going to strengthen the sense of relatedness that your team has to one another. At this point, leave me a comment below telling me which strategy you're going to focus on first. Will it be autonomy, relatedness, or competence? Comment below right now. All right, as promised, it's time for that bonus strategy, and that strategy is helping you understand that you are not the hero of the story. Here's what I mean. So many times when I talk to coaches, they get incredibly frustrated, or they are incredibly frustrated about the results that their team is getting, or the mindset that their team has, or in the case of this video, the level of motivation that their team is showing. And many times they take those results that they're getting with their team, they take them personally. It's almost as if the coach is treating the situation as if they are the hero of the story, as if it's them that's overcoming the obstacles or conquering the opponent or learning and growing as a person. Now, while that very well may be happening for you as a coach, let's be very clear. You are not the hero of the story. It's your athletes that are actually the hero of the story. It's them that need to overcome their own obstacles. It's them that need to defeat the opponents. It's them that need to learn and to grow as people. They are the hero of this story. They are the Karate Kid. You as the coach, you're Mr. Miyagi. Now, if you haven't seen the Karate Kid, A, go watch it. But B, Mr. Miyagi is the teacher. He's the guide. He's the keeper of the wisdom that he passes on to the Karate Kid. You're Mr. Miyagi. It's your job as a coach to do everything that you can to position your athletes to find a way to succeed, to position them for success. But make no mistake, you can't do it for them, because sometimes, despite your best efforts, you're just not going to connect with some. For example, this video, you could adjust your coaching philosophy to foster more autonomy. You could position them to feel more competence. You could also put them in a position to build their sense of relatedness with one another. And you know what? Some still won't be motivated. And that's not on you. You're Mr. Miyagi. Your athletes are the Karate Kid. And just like the Karate Kid, they need to buy into the philosophy. And some just won't. And that's not on you. All right, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button. If you're new here, subscribe. And anybody who hasn't, make sure that you get over there and get that guide at trainwithperk.com/free guide. I'll see you next week.